Hi everyone, my name's PK, and here I have Dave Smith, who works in defense, and he's a property investor. And I posted on my Facebook group the other day, and I was like, does anyone want to just volunteer their time to take us through their journey, like why they became property investors, the successes or challenges, mindset struggles or mindset like abundance, or just the whole kind of gamut of what it takes to be or start and maintain a property investment journey. And very kindly, Dave put his hand up and we organized this session. And it's a real story from of a real human being, a real property investor. And I think that's what folks want, just like raw, authentic stories where they can see, okay, is this right for me? Can I learn something? Can I be inspired? Can I be educated? How can I actually get to the next step? First property, seventh property, whatever it might be for you. So thank you so much, Dave, for making time.
No worries, PK. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the Oz Property Investment Mastery Podcast. My name's PK and I help busy people build passive income by buying top 5% growth and cash flow property and build a portfolio using data without wasting months doing research, spending weekends at inspection or catching flights, or dropping $10,000 to $20,000 on buyer's agents every single time. So if you're confused, lack confidence, and just overwhelmed with all the information and marketing misinformation available online and don't know where to start, then this show is for you.
You're actually in a caravan with your family. You're going around Australia for 18 months, which is super cool. But let's just go back to like your first, I guess, property investment.
Yep.
Why did you become a property investor in the first place?
I guess I've always had an interest in property, and it's always sort of fascinated me on the ins and outs of it and what you can achieve with that. In saying that, I was quite naive with our first property, and we sort of did a lot of our own research thinking we were doing the right thing, and listening to so-called property experts and their reports that people write. So yeah, we just went out and did a lot of research and bought a house or a block of land in the Albury-Wodonga area, and we built a 4-bedroom house on that. We still own that today, and it's done okay, and it's done pretty good, but I think we could have done better if we had have probably been a little bit more educated in our decisions and that we made back then.
Right. I mean, normally you're obviously you're traveling around right now, or you're speaking from your caravan, but normally you live on the south coast, in New South Wales. How did you buy this place in that kind of Albury Wodonga? Because that's kind of quite inland. Did you like make lots of trips out to do inspections, or like how did you actually do that purchase?
Yeah, so I'd done a fair bit of research on what areas, and then some of the reports that we had purchased had really led us towards the Albury-Wodonga area. So yeah, my wife and I, we travelled out there and did a bit of research on the area, and spoke to a lot of real estate agents, and found some blocks of land. And then we came across a block of land that was being sold by a developer who the housing estate had been set up for large blocks, and they couldn't sell these blocks. They were 1,200 square metre blocks. So they literally cut them in half and then sold them at a sort of a discounted price. So we bought the block of land it was very, very cheap. We were talking sort of less than $70,000 for the block of land.
Right.
And then we bought the land, and then engaged a builder. We did all that. We engaged the builder, searched around, got quotes for a house, and then had a house built on it and rented it out ever since. So yeah.
Whereabouts is that? Is that like up near Lavington or something? Or
Yeah, the Hamilton Valley area.
yeah, got it.
Yeah, so it backs onto Lavington. Yeah, so the area has definitely grown over the last since we've built. But yeah, in saying that, if I could do my time over again, I probably wouldn't have done it. But we have it now, and it hasn't held us back. We've been able to draw some equity out of it to buy the next place. But yeah, it's sometimes I want to crunch the numbers on it and see whether we hang on to it or move it on.
Right. And what sort of makes you say that if you had your time again, you might not have bought it? Like, is there something, do you reckon other places have grown more, or was it, do you regret kind of
Yeah.
buying the land, or what is it about it?
Just probably the whole house and land. It wasn't a housing package, like we bought the land and then built the house, but
Mhm.
having that kind of, it was, good on cash flow, but I think we could have got better capital growth elsewhere. And I'm a lot more educated these days from doing your course, that, you know, we could have made better decisions. And I think I've listened to some previous podcasts that you've done that are sort of, you put these property professionals up on a pedestal.
Yeah.
And I think that they're, you know, these experts and they know all, but they actually don't. And so that's probably my story with that.
Yeah, got it. And so did you, because I know you've also used buyer's agents, but you've done the course as well.
Yeah.
What's kind of like your thoughts on the property locations or the types of deals that you've bought your subsequent two properties with, you know, with buyer's agents, presumably before you did the course?
Yeah.
Were you able to kind of ascertain how good a deal those were based on what the course has taught you?
Looking back, yes, now we're sort of, you know, I think we bought in Perth way too early, but we used a buyer's agent that was based in Perth. And
What year was that?
2017.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, so we bought there pretty early, and that's in the Joondalup area. And
Good now. I mean, it's probably
now.
doing good now.
Yeah, it's doing good now, but I think as I said, we could have done better elsewhere. But yeah, we used a buyer's agent that was based in WA, and of course, they're not going to tell you to go and buy. You shouldn't be buying in Perth at the moment. You should be buying in another part of Australia. So I felt that they kind of they pushed their own agenda a lot, in obviously getting us as a client. So yeah, like the house itself is in a good spot, but yeah, I sort of learned a lot that buyer's agents aren't necessarily there to, you know, they just want to make money. Well, the ones that I've come across anyway. So
Yeah. And I think that statement that you said before, like, we put people up on a pedestal. I really hope no one puts any property professional, including me, on a pedestal, because property investing is not rocket science. Anyone can learn it if you have a little bit of time, have a little bit of passion. And it's not one of these things that a certain group of people will always retain a monopoly over, because the dynamics, they don't change very quickly, right? It's like a very almost archaic dinosaur type industry, for better or worse. You know, what works today in terms of how to choose a property, how to choose a strategy, how to structure your assets, what ownership structure you should buy, and what type of lending strategy you should build. What works today will work in 6 months' time, will work in 6 years' time. Of course, there's always some things around the edges, but that's why I really feel anyone can learn it. So you used a buyer's agent in Perth. Presumably you had already figured out, or you came to the conclusion that Perth was going to be the location for your next investment. Like, what? And I don't mean this in like a facetious way, but like, why did you choose Perth back in 2017?
So I guess once again, we invested in some property reports that are written by so-called professionals, and that at the time they were saying that Perth was going to be the next big thing. And in today's market, Perth is very hot, but you know, I probably lacked confidence in doing the due diligence myself and research, and just kind of leaned on these experts to guide us in the right direction. And you know, once again, we haven't done badly out of it, but we could have done better elsewhere. So, and I think it just comes back to being better educated, and which I am today. And I definitely have now the confidence to purchase our fourth property without using a buyer's agent, and knowing how to, and where to look. So yeah, education's a big thing.
I mean, every suburb, no matter how bad it is, it always has its day in the sun. It always has its time to shine. But I think, do you sort of believe that timing the market is possible, and that people shouldn't just buy? This is kind of a loaded question, so maybe rephrase that. Have you been able to kind of learn that timing is as important as time in the market?
Yes, definitely. That's definitely timing the market and time in the market as well. Yeah, for sure. That's definitely a really, really big thing. And something that we've learned along the way, that you need to be buying at the right time, and you'll definitely do well if you do that. And obviously using your education and what you've learned, not just taking everyone's word for gospel, I think is a big thing.
And has your partner been kind of along the journey the whole time, or were you kind of spearheading this and kind of
Well,
forcing them to be along?
yeah, probably me sort of spearheading this.
Yeah.
She has been involved in it, and over the years, she has definitely become more knowledgeable. At the start, she didn't really have any idea. So, yeah, she's definitely learnt a lot along the way of, yeah, the ins and outs of property investing. But I would still say that I'm probably the one spearheading the I guess I don't know what the word is, but moving forward with more properties. Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah,
Gotcha. I mean, you're traveling around right now in caravan for about 18 months. Presumably, you have a lot of good debt because you're a
yeah,
property investor.
yeah,
Um, how does that sit with you? Because obviously, like the standard narrative can be, oh, look, being a property investor means that you leverage yourself up to the eyeballs, to the hilt, which means you lock yourself in to a 9 to 5 because you have to service all that debt. But
yeah,
you're doing quite the opposite right now.
yeah,
So
yeah.
like, how have you been able to do that?
So look, we obviously make some money off those investments, and I've been quite fortunate with my employment as well that I do. So yeah, like we do carry a lot of good debt, and it hasn't stopped us from taking a break from work and traveling Australia for 18 months.
Hmm.
There's so much talk about interest rates and fuel prices and all that sort of stuff, but we can still afford to do it, and we've got the nice caravan and the nice truck to tow it with, and so it's definitely hasn't stopped us from doing anything. And I think we spoke before, like families that sell up to travel Australia to do that. It's probably what I wouldn't want to do. I like just the fact that we can still travel and do all this stuff, but we've still got some investments in the background as well.
Yeah.
Uh,
No,
yeah,
nice one. And so where did you buy your third one? That was also through a buyer's agent?
it did cost us. I think it was about $12,000. I think it was the fee to buy the house, but it was an off-market deal. Whether it was or wasn't, I'm not sure. But they tell you that. But on the day of settlement, they did get us a $10,000 reduction on the day of settlement. So just from some things that were found on the building inspection report. So I found them quite professional. But
Hmm.
once again, what they did wasn't anything magical. It was still, it was a good house, good property in Cairns in the Brinsmead area. So they were good, but I definitely still wouldn't use another buy. I wouldn't use them again, put it that way.
And what year was that?
2019.
2019.
Yeah.
So probably, I mean, Cairns is doing quite well now.
Yeah.
But probably for the first, let me know if this is inaccurate, but for the first 1, 2 years, it was kind of flat-ish.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great. And I think we were talking about before how, a lot of time property investors come across as people who are a little bit money hungry and just focused on the financial outcomes. But you
Yeah.
were telling me how important it is for you to really balance that and not just sell everything and just become like a hippie or go on a
Yeah.
caravan tour or anything, but
No.
like have that healthy balance. And how there was a trigger for you a while ago, kind of realized that there's more to life than just money. And obviously
Yeah.
you're taking your kids and your family around. I think that's great to see. Are you also, I mean, they're a bit young. I mean, my son's almost 5 as well, but
Yeah.
do they know that their dad is a property investor, or do they know, like, have you introduced him to any of these concepts yet?
Oh, look, we had an issue with our tenant in Albury, and he did a little bit of damage to the property. So I had to actually um, disappear on the trip. I had to fly down to Albury just to take hold of the situation.
Oh, no
And
way.
yeah, so
Like your property manager couldn't sort it out?
no, that's probably a whole backstory to that.
Okay.
But no, they were uh, covering themselves to cover up their lack of doing their job. So I had
Right.
to fly down to do that. So I had to sort of chat with the boys and tell them that I had to go down and look after a house. And so they had a bit of an idea that I had gone away, and they asked me if I put the man in jail. And but that was probably the most of it. But they know we have some houses, but they don't really understand the concept of it. So
Yeah, sure. And like, I mean, you're kind of spearheading this whole thing for the family. What's your goal? I mean, you started like 6 years ago, I think, or somewhere around there, right?
yeah,
Um, what's your goal in, like, let's say 10 years or 15 years? Do you enjoy your job, or are you trying to just do the caravan thing all the time? Or like, what is there a passive income goal? What's the big thing that you're doing all this for?
Yeah, so like I wanted to take the time out just to refresh, and then following that, like I will go back to work next year, and so will my wife. I've sort of set a bit of a goal for us over the next 8 years that we're really going to be, I guess, pushing hard to acquire a lot more properties over the next 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to sort of push me out to 50, and then reassess from there. But obviously doing that with a lot better education and a lot more guidance, and yeah, as you said, someone holding your hand for a little bit too. So yeah.
No, fair enough. And like you're not a hugely experienced property investor, but you have gone and bought a few properties through different avenues, and you have some experience under your belt. You're part of the Facebook group. I can see that you're there quite
Yeah.
often, commenting and everything like that. You probably get a sense of, like, people who are in Facebook groups or watch YouTube videos on property or consume podcast content, probably like you do
Yep.
now, or you used to
Yep.
back in the day.
Yeah.
A lot of people, are looking for the quick answers, like the boom or the hotspot, etc. You
Yeah.
buy those property reports, those hotspot reports or whatever.
Yeah.
Or they're like, they're like really scared. They're like, okay, like I get it. People like PK shouting that you should become a property investor, but what if it all comes down like a house of cards? A million reasons why that could happen.
Yeah.
You probably thought these things yourself. What's like your advice to folks who haven't started yet and are like maybe going to make some of the mistakes that you've said you've made?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing for people who haven't started yet is have the confidence in yourself to be able to make decisions that can really make a good effect on your family in the future, and but be educated and make sure you're talking to the right people. Education in this sort of field is key, I think, and very easy to make mistakes if you go in blindly. And as you said, people are on these Facebook groups asking for what suburb should I invest in, and it's not just the suburb that you should invest in, and there's so much more to that than just where's the next hotspot. And like challenge what people tell you, the property professionals, ask the questions, and no one sort of cares more about your own money than yourself. So I would just be education, I think, is key.
Did you, just out of curiosity, were you quite kind of benign and passive, or whether it's the person you bought that report from or the buyer's agent, are you the sort of person who did challenge them and make their life like productive or hard, or were you just kind of like, hopefully it works out? Like,
I think back then, like, we were sort of quite passive and just were happy to be led by people that we were paying money to, because you think you're paying this money to someone that, and I'm not saying these buyers agents tried to do the wrong thing,
no,
saying that, but knowing what I know now, I would have liked to have challenged some of their decisions on what they were recommending these properties and how they came to that conclusion. Comes back down to education. So while we haven't done terribly out of all this, moving forward now, I know I have more of a clear goal now of what we want to do and what we want to achieve, and how to do that. So yeah.
nice. No, that's really good to hear. I mean, challenge everything. I mean, you said it, but I just want to reiterate it. No one really cares about you. No one cares about you or your money.
No.
Only you do.
Yeah.
And so you got to just, you don't be afraid to ask the hard questions, like, even in like the technical things, and don't think you're stupid for asking something that most people will already know. Just ask anyway, or ask someone else about something else. Just got to put your sort of fear down for a second.
Your
Be
ego as well.
okay. Say that again.
The ego. People have too much
ego. Yeah, it's okay to be stupid, right? Because you'd rather act stupid or appear to be stupid and get the good outcome than just sail through it with your ego and then end up with a dud property. So I think that's a really really good point. And maybe last question, Dave. Interest rates could probably still rise from here. I mean, they're probably unlikely to, but they could still rise from here. We may still enter a recession. It's probably unlikely, but things can change. We may still enter into a recession. the world is not as certain as it was 5 years ago in terms of global economic health. There's a million things I could talk about like that, but as a real estate investor with a lot of debt, how do you approach these things? Like, does it keep you up at night, or what do you think about these subjects?
I think there's a lot of scare tactics in the media talking about interest rate rises, and we've just had 2 of our properties switch over from a fixed period to variable, and our interest rates have doubled on 2 of those properties. But we still can pay for them; they're still paying for themselves. So like, I think you could get caught up in all that and just get scared to make the next move, but they're not always. Eventually they're going to have to come down. They're not going to keep going up. So it's not going to stop us buying another property. I can guarantee you that. I'm not going to be scared to not do things just based on interest rates or what's in the media. So
No, it's really good to hear. Of course, everyone has their own risk appetites and sleep at night factor, but when you hear just like normal people say that, not like me say it, who's obviously got an agenda, you just hear like normal person say it, it's like, yeah, this is how most people think. And you know
exactly
what I mean?
right. If you just followed what was on the media, if you lived your life by what was on the media, you wouldn't get very far.
No.
But here we are traveling Australia in a caravan, so we're doing okay. So
No, that's so good to hear. And I think that's for me, that's probably the big takeaway from this is, like, yes, property investing requires some sacrifice. Sometimes it requires hard work. Like there's no substitute for smart or hard work, but it doesn't mean that you can't take your family for an 18-month cruise around Australia. It doesn't mean that you can't temporarily stop doing your job. It doesn't mean you have to like live a financially anorexic life. And I think that's a really good testament for what you're doing. And like you were saying to me before we hit record as well, like property investing and just being a mature financial custodian of your family is a very important thing, but so is just giving life experiences to your kids. And I think that's the best thing that kids can do is travel around instead of just being in front of a desk. It's a highly controversial statement, but I completely agree with you.
Some people might not agree, but I think it's good to get them out of the classroom. And you see some European countries, they don't start school until they're 7 or 8 years old. So at our age of kids, 4 and 5, they're loving it. They're having fun. Every day's an adventure. Sometimes I say to my wife, I feel like we're traveling Australia one park at a time. One playground to the next.
You should take a photo of all these like different swings or playgrounds and like have like a montage or collage or something. That would be pretty cool.
They become quite connoisseurs of playgrounds. They'll see one and they'll be like, oh no, that's not good, we'll go to the next one.
The swing is creaking in the wrong way. I'm not a big fan of this.
It's not big enough, or there's no bouncy pillow, or
There you go. They're becoming entitled already. No, I'm just joking.
They kind of are.
All right, Dave. Well, I appreciate your time. And just lastly, is there anything else that you want to say before we wrap it up?
No, like like I've really enjoyed coming on and having this chat. Obviously to share our story and hope that some people can get some content out of this and help them. But we're looking forward to the next 8 years with our sort of next journey on investing. But thanks for having me.
No problem. And it is quite exciting. I mean, it's a little bit nerve-wracking in some ways, but when you have a clear goal and the capacity to buy multiple financial assets, it's like, it's a really important part of your life. It's not life in of itself, but it's a really important part of your life. And I think it's really fun. You can make property investing fun if you have the right attitude towards it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. It doesn't have to be all doom and gloom.
No.
You're just making the right decisions at the right time, and you can kind of high five yourself. It's definitely.
No, for sure. All right. Well, thank you so much, Dave. I really appreciate your time, and hopefully, guys, this served to inspire you and educate you, of course, but also give you some realization of like what it takes, what it doesn't take, just kind of a real life story of a property investor. And there's none of this like 10 properties in 3 years or anything. This is just how normal investors invest, and if this just allows you to take the next step or one more step in the right direction with or without me, then this the last 30 minutes has served its purpose. So thank you for listening, and thanks again, Dave.
Thank you. Cheers.